Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. Folks, we have been talking all week about the death on Monday of John Singleton, passed away at the age of 51. His family has also been encouraging black men to get tested for blood pressure because John suffered from hypertension for a number of years. Many people have talked about his impact on Hollywood, the number of people who he put in films their first shot, folks who also had never produced before, never directed before, folks who had never done all kinds of different jobs. But even John Singleton needed somebody who believed in him. So when he wrote Boyz N the Hood, he submitted it to a number of different people. And my next guest is someone who was actually read that script. Stephanie Allain joins us right now. She has known John Singleton for his entire career. Stephanie, welcome to Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'm reading so many different stories about John, his work, and then so I came across the story where you were the one who was reading scripts for one of the studios, and you came across this thing called Boyz N the Hood.
Yeah, it's something like that. I was actually in the story department. I had just been promoted, and I was looking to replace myself in the story department with a person of color. And John, I'd already actually read one of John's scripts, which we need to make now. It's called Twilight Time. It's an all-female starring script, and he was talented. But I heard he needed a job, and so I was interviewing him to take a reader job.
Wow.
But he only wanted to talk about one thing, and that was his latest script called Boyz N the Hood.
So you're interviewing him for a job to read scripts, and he's telling you, no. I got a script. I need you to read.
Exactly. But it was even worse than that because he said, you can't read it, because I'm going to direct it, and I know how studios do you. And so basically, I had to chase him for 2 weeks to get the script.
Whoa. Stop. Hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up. Yeah. You trying to hire him to be a script reader for the studio. You got this 22-year-old kid out of film school, never directed, telling you how this is going to go down, and you got to chase him?
That's exactly right.
Okay, I know at one point you said, I don't know who this arrogant Kappa think he is. Yeah, I gotta go. Well, man, I got my Alpha shirt on, so I had to go ahead and do that. But no, so what are you thinking? Like, why am I chasing him down?
Because I'll tell you why. Because as soon as he started to talk about this story, I was enthralled. I knew that it must have been good because he felt it, he lived it, he was so excited about it, he could see it. And so basically I did track it down. It took me 2 weeks. I got it. I sat in my little tiny nook and I read it, and I was just streaming in tears. I went to school in Inglewood. I knew those kids, and I was like, wow. This is the whole reason why I'm here, to get this movie made. And I just made it my business to do like whatever I could to make it happen. But it was going to happen anyway, because John was John, and he just was going to. I was lucky basically to be in a spot where I could help.
So the studio says, yes, we'll go ahead and do it. And then John Singleton says, oh, by the way, I am directing this.
No, he didn't bait and switch. He said, here's the script, and I am going to direct it. And then I think in the room, Frank said, well, what if I paid you $100,000 or $200,000, just for the script? And he was like, you could keep your money. He didn't care. He knew that was his destiny in a crazy, beautiful, lovely way. He knew that was his destiny, and it was infectious. Like, so he sat at the table. Everybody said yes, and then in 2 months we went off and started making it.
Were you telling yourself, I ain't never seen a young black man roll into a Hollywood studio like this?
Never. But and it was different because Spike was making his own movies. He was raising his own money and making his own movies. So, and John was so enamored with Spike. He loved Spike. Spike was like his idol, and really somebody who made him feel like I have to do the West Coast answer, like what's happening out here, and yeah. You're gonna miss it.
We were talking the other day. I was talking to Michael Schultz, and I said to Michael Schultz that he only made 8 films. And Schultz said, it's not about number. He said it's 8 quality films.
It's 8 quality films. It's the TV shows, but you know what? It's even more. And since his passing, I have been blown away by how many people felt that he was there for them, that he read their scripts, he gave them notes, he tutored them, he let them shadow him on set. I truly believe Boyz N the Hood is an incredible legacy in all of the work that he did, but an even bigger legacy, I think, is how many people he inspired and how much time he gave as a creative godfather to a couple generations of Black filmmakers.
Last time you saw him, last time you talked to him?
A couple weeks ago, we were, we were chatting about some business we had, and it was almost time to get back on that boat, because I'd been on the boat a couple times. He was an amazing sailor, but I started sailing with him at the very beginning. So I do have a crazy story where, we almost went under on the boat, but he stuck with it, just like he did with everything, and he became a master sailor, and I just picture him on that boat.
My panel has some questions. I'm going to start first with Joseph.
Hi, Stephanie. Nice to meet you.
It
just sounds wonderful. This is quite an incredible story. Can you talk a bit more about his legacy? I mean, I know that he basically was a phenomenon, but a lot of people don't know or haven't talked about the fact that he nurtured and mentored some other people behind him, and that he probably is going to open the door for so many other people. Are there people in the pipeline who you think we might think about or keep an eye on? And also, sailing, really? John Singleton from South Central? That's fascinating.
For years, he's had a beautiful sailboat in the marina, and he goes out on it every day. He goes out and he invites people out, and we sail up and down, and he points out the land and the whales, and it's pretty amazing. It's beautiful out there. John helped so many people. Just from that first amazing entity called Boyz N the Hood. Every single actor on there. But it's, like I said, it's more than that, because then the next time he did it again. Next time it was Janet, who had never had a feature role, Janet Jackson, and Tupac. He managed to, and then Maya Angelou, was in Poetic Justice. That was amazing. We shot that right after the uprising in '94. God, it just goes on. And Craig Brewer is a perfect example, because when I read Hustle and Flow, I fell in love with this voice. I had been trying to shop it, trying to find somebody. I gave it to John, and it took him a couple months, but then he read it and called me back, and he was like, "This is so dope. We're going to make this movie." We shopped it again, and then when nobody wanted to do it, he was like, I'm writing the check, and Craig Brewer is very much a product of John's mentorship and benefactorship, and we made 2 movies together with him. But it's not even that. Like, the younger people, the people who are in their 20s, Lena Waithe and that whole crowd. Like, he's mentored so many people. I don't even know how he could do it, because he works too.
Erica.
Great to be able to speak with you. My question is, with John Singleton, you worked with him on several projects. So what was the most impactful project that you worked on John Singleton with, and then why was that the most impactful project?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I would have to say Boyz, and it was because it was my first movie ever. It was his first movie. Neither of us, we were faking it. We were just faking it till we made it. And together, because I was the representative at the studio, I literally just been there a few months from the story department. They had to promote me to vice president just to oversee the movie, which I had no idea what that meant. I brought in a producer friend, Steve Nicolaitis, who basically taught us both, like, how to make a movie. And you know, I fought with John. John was fierce in his vision, and he really taught me how to protect the artist's vision. And he was right. You know, arguments that I had with him, he was absolutely right. And so I really learned how to produce artists, how to produce auteurs. And you know, 9 months later, we were on the carpet at Cannes, and it did change the world, that movie. So that was my first movie. That was John's first movie. Nothing's really topped it, except for, I would say, you know, kneeling at the feet of Maya Angelou on set, or Hustle and Flow, which everybody in town turned down, and then we sold it for a whole lot of money at Sundance to all the very same people who, you know, had turned it down. So that was a big celebratory community movie that we all chipped in and did what we could. But there's so many memories. I mean, it's hard to. You know, my son is an actor, and he starred in Snowfall. And so at the very end of 2 in the morning, I get this text, and it's John Singleton and my son, Wade Allain Marcus, hugging and grinning, and they're on set, and John was directing Wade in an episode of Snowfall. And that was, of course, a huge full circle moment.
Greg Carr.
Stephanie, my sympathies, and it's really wonderful to hear these stories. You know, I'm thinking about how much has changed and how much hasn't changed. And for you to be sitting at Columbia, just new there, and be able to push this through, how is it still difficult for our artists to have those pathways to stand in their truths and tell their stories? I'm asking that because, of course, he was influenced by Spike and Robert Townsend and others, but I'm thinking about another set of LA creative artists coming out of UCLA, the so-called LA Rebellion. You know, Haile Garima, Charles Burdett, one of the great directors, of course, Julie Dash and others. That nexus between independent filmmakers who say, I'm gonna make this the way I want it, and industry filmmakers, people like you, who enabled John Singleton, who shows up out of USC, but also with an agent. In other words, he's kind of an anomaly. You know, how important is it for people like you to sit at that crossroads so that our young people don't have to compromise their vision, and so that these great filmmakers like Dash and Garima and Burdett, who've made this incredible body of work, could perhaps even be in the industry while preserving their independent insurrectionist mindset?
It's a really great question, and I have 2 answers for you. One, the gatekeepers have got to be diverse. They have got to reflect the constituency. You cannot have, you know, and it hasn't changed that much. When I was a studio executive, there was one other person of color, you know, in that division at the table, but it hasn't really changed that much. But what has changed are the opportunities, because the streamers. We made 2 movies in the last couple of years at Netflix. One is Juanita. If you haven't seen it, please see it. Alfre Woodard has never been #1 on the call sheet until Juanita. It is a quirky, lovely, wonderful, wonderful movie. And Burning Sands, which was about, as you know, Roland, a black HBCU frat guys who are hazing each other really harshly. And those movies could not get made in the regular system, right? And so we went to Netflix, which was at the time just sort of trying to figure out what they were doing. We had complete creative control. We could do whatever we want. And that's what's so exciting, because it's not just the big monopoly studios that have the control. There's so many other places to get money, independent money, streamer money, that allows the full voice. In the 90s, it was really gangster movies, comedies, you know what I mean? Now, there's so many authentic stories, and they're all being told, and that gives me so much hope, because I feel like it's not a fad, it's not a trend, but it's finally, we're in a place where we can express ourselves. But the critics, we need more women critics, we need more critics of color, and we need more gatekeepers, you know, at the studios, at the agencies, and at film festivals that really reflect America as we really are.
Last question, Stephanie, from me, and that is, John was always intense. He always had that hard look on his face, but he also loved to smile. You knew him well. What would John Singleton be saying about all the love and praise folks are showering on him in the wake of his passing?
You know, Roland, it's the thing I keep thinking about, because I've been so sad and just so senseless and this, but then I look around and I see, you know, President Obama sent out the most heartfelt tweet about him, and so across so many different areas, from academia to television to film. Like, he was so beloved. And I know that he would be so tickled to see everybody just expressing their love for him.
Well, one of the things I love about social media is that I was sitting here reading the story, and I saw your name, and I go, okay, so I type your name in the Twitter, and I'm like, whoa, she's following me on Twitter, and I'm following her.
That's
and
true.
so
well, you were in one of my movies. Come on now, you were in.
That's true. That's true. Beyond the Lights, yes, indeed. But thank goodness I send you a direct message, and I'm like, let's talk about John. I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thanks for what you do. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Stephanie. Thanks a bunch, and we'll chat soon. Take care. Martin Unfiltered. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.